This is your life, and this is, of course, the real Patrick Macnee, world famous as John Steed of the new Avengers. And we've flown him from his home in Palm Springs, California, to join me here at London Sheridan's Park Tower Hotel for a little plot action of our own.
I'm very glad to have come to London, Eamonn. Thank you very much. The chap you're looking for, I believe, is a very old friend of mine.
A very old friend indeed. Not only that, but in fact, he acted with you, Patrick, in the very first Avengers some 17 years ago.
Yes, well, I was his partner. He was the boss. In fact, but for him, there would have been no Avengers and no John Steed. It wouldn't have existed. This new Avengers, my goodness, this new member, you're really going to arrest him in his tracks.
Well, I hope so, because he's due along that street there any moment now, just thinking of an appointment he has with a Sunday newspaper columnist, and whatever reaction he may have to me, I'll tell you he's going to blow his top when he sees you, because he not only thinks you're across the other side of the Atlantic, but the other side of the USA as well. So if you, when I get to him, keep out of sight for a second, and then we see his face when he sees you, all right? Ian, I don't know if you recognize me in this outfit.
I do, yes. How are you?
Fine. I think I ought to tell you that your old pal John Steed, Patrick Macnee, has flown some 6,000 miles to be with you this evening.
Bloody hell.
In fact, he's right behind you.
Oh,
Because
darling.
tonight, Eamonn Hendry, look at the cameras up there. This is your life.
Oh, my God. It's incredible.
Well, yes, exactly. Well, perhaps one of the first of many surprises. So if we all go along with George Spackman, who's in on the secret, and we'll travel in style to our Houston headquarters, all right?
Yeah, fine. Marvelous.
We're three different men. We look like two bookies coming back from the action.
Put yourself down there. Well, Ian, I think you'll agree that I couldn't have had a more expert co-conspirator than Patrick here.
No way. I'm afraid we co-conspirated a lot in the old days.
Yes.
Didn't we?
He hasn't quite got his breath back, plus red flu and everything else. We really caught him on the hop today. But your friendship with Patrick, you go back to 1961, just after you had starred in a series called Police Surgeon, a series which a year later became The Avengers, and in which you teamed up with Patrick, playing, of course, the Secret Service agent John Steed.
You were saying?
No, no, where was I? The organised hiring of trained thugs.
No, you were past that. It was something about a special demonstration in the Chelsea area.
Oh, yeah, right. Well, now, the patient, he lives in this area.
Yeah?
And there may be a very definite demonstration. I think we're right on the edge. Just one lead, and this should be it.
Yeah.
And we get to the most vicious operator of them all.
You any idea who that is?
Yeah, I've got an idea. He's got no record. He fronts behind a respectable import business. Positive evidence, that's what we need.
You think we might find that out tonight? Yeah?
That's the general idea.
Yeah.
Going to be a lovely evening.
Beg your pardon?
I said it's going to be a lovely evening.
Yes, dear. Hope so.
Patrick, tell me, did Ian have a particular influence on you in those days?
My goodness, I was working in an office. I think he's the most creative and imaginative actor and writer, which a lot of people don't know about, that I've ever met. He changed what was an ordinary cops and robbers show into something quite different. He's had tremendous... In fact, it's still running The Avengers, so he must have had a big influence on my life.
Well, Ian Hendry, this is your life. And you were born on the 13th of January, 1931, here at 75 Tuddenham Road, Ipswich, the elder son of a grain mill manager. And that's you, just 4 weeks old. Today, you're very much a family man yourself, and the Hendry family are here. Your wife, Sandy, your daughters, Sally, who's 13, and 7-year-old Corrie. Your mother and father, James and Enid. And brother Don with his wife Valerie. And their children, your nieces and nephew Karen, Susan, and Neil. Well, James, even at the age of 6, I believe that Ian was showing the kind of imagination that suggested an acting career.
Yes, Eamonn. One Monday, he went to school and proceeded to tell them of a visit he'd had to Southampton to see the Queen Mary. He explained in great detail all about the dining rooms, swimming pools, whatnot. And funnily enough, just a few days later, we met his teacher, who said what a wonderful weekend he'd had. And we said, what weekend? And she explained. Well, when we texted him about it, we discovered, when he owned up, that he'd got the whole thing out of a Sunday newspaper. It had the...
But shortly afterwards, you took Ian around a real ship.
Oh, yes. And about a month later, a Finnish master came into the dock with grain. I took him down there, and he was taken all over the ship, from top to bottom. And of course, as you can imagine, next day he went back to school and told them all about it. And nobody believed a damn word about it.
Now, Don, Ian took a more positive step towards an acting career when he was 11.
That's correct, yes. He decided to stage a play in an old hayloft behind the post office in Norwich Road in Ipswich. He wrote it, and he designed and he constructed the set, and he, of course, naturally starred in it. When I tentatively sort of asked in what way I could make a contribution, he thought for a moment or two, and then said he would include my name in the programme with the words, "The curtains kindly pulled by Donald."
But I also charged for it.
Yes.
Well, at 13, Ian, you go to Culford School near Bury St Edmunds, Suffolk, where you captain the school rugby team, and when you leave school, you want to go on the stage. But first comes national service. And in 1949, you're posted to Gordon Barracks in Aberdeen, and there, Second Lieutenant Hendry gets something of a reputation for his parade ground roar.
Yes, Ian's roar started like this.
And ended like this.
Two officer pals from those days in Aberdeen. You haven't seen them for 28 years. Patrick Powell and Murray Robb. Well, now, Patrick, that was obviously the roar of a motorbike.
Yes, the regiment ran a motorcycle display team of which Ian was a member, and he used to go roaring all over the camp practicing.
But seemingly not always roaring with success, Murray.
That's quite true. One summer we were at summer camp at Otterburn in Northumberland, and Ian had taken this terrible machine of his down there, and he was pottering about in it one evening when it took control. And off he went, roaring down a line of tents, pulling out guy ropes and collapsing tents everywhere. Eventually he finished up in a drainage ditch, which, you know, spoiled the fun, because if he turned left, he could have mown down the Ultras Mare.
Thank you, Murray Robb and Patrick Powell.
Don't remember that one.
Well, you're demobbed in 1953 and go to London Central School of Speech and Drama, but your interest isn't confined to the stage because you have a great love for the circus. And on your visits to Olympia, you become a close friend of the late and legendary Coco the Clown.
Well, my beloved Coco was so fond of Ian, why he taught him to be a clown too.
A woman for whom I know you have the greatest affection, Coco's widow, Mrs. Valentina Poliakoff. Valentina, tell me, how did Ian make out as a clown?
Oh, he was with my husband, very big friend. Very good indeed, the best friend we have.
What did Coco teach him?
Oh, Boy, teach him makeup, clown, somersaults, walk with him, make it show everything. Go to the ring with him. Very good friend.
He's one of the greatest men in show business, that one.
And you very good friend was with you.
Thank you, Valentina Poliakoff. Well, it's little wonder, Ian, that your very first television appearance in 1956 in a program titled This Is Show Business, you appeared as a clown. What was it, in fact, prompted that great love of the circus? Yeah, Ian.
I think basically it's because I got the smell of it, the smell of the ring, and you even walk in a different way when you go into a big top. It's that slightly bandy, butch walk, because you've been on horses a lot. It's the whole feel and the atmosphere, and I think they're the finest people in show business.
Well, while you're still at Central School, you organise a tour of village halls in Wales, putting on Shakespearean productions.
Yeah.
And you ask a young girl student whose acting talent you greatly admire to be the leading lady on that tour. Now, we found a magazine photograph of her watching you acting in a scene, and the admiration is clearly mutual. Tonight she has to be on stage in Leicester, but if you look at that screen, Ian, she recalls now that tour you did together 23 years ago. I mean, of course, Heather Sears.
Hello, Ian. Hello, Eamonn. Do you remember the Workman's Hall in Ebbw Vale and the student productions which you organised? We were so broke that we used to live on a plate of chips a day. Not each, but between us. So when it looked as though we were starving for love, we were actually starving for a square meal. You had the bright idea of taking Shakespeare productions to Wales because the school children were studying Shakespeare for their exams, and you thought it might be good business and that we could get some experience. I remember that there were occasions when there were more of us in the cast than there were in the audience. In fact, I remember only three toffee-chewing school children sitting in the front row. But that didn't put you off. I remember you went on to play your Mercutio with all the enthusiasm, as if you'd been at the old Vic. And that enthusiasm and that professionalism has never diminished since. I've worked with you many times, and I can vouch for that. I wish I could be with you tonight. Have a great evening.
Thank you, Heather Sears. Well, the year you leave drama school, you get your first full-time professional acting job in rep at Hornchurch in Essex. It's 1955, and there you strike up a firm friendship with another member of the cast. He was taking a holiday in the south of France when we traced him, but as soon as we mentioned your name, he rushed to get on the next plane back to London, and he's here, your great pal, Ronald Fraser.
Oh,
Ronnie, back in 1955, I gather you were as much impressed by Ian's acting off stage as you were on.
Oh, yes. But he's always been obsessed with the circus and that lovely lady, Mrs. Coco. And he has a trick he does. You know, he'll sit on a ledge, or he'll sit on a piano forte, or he'll sit on maybe even a bar. And he falls head first towards the ground, does a flip, and lands on his feet. It's a miracle. There was a famous night when he was making a movie up north in Newcastle, where they'd had a celebration. Someone's baby were wetting the head of someone's baby. He forgot to do the flip. He landed on his nut. And his dear stand-in was doing palpitation night all evening. The next morning he had to run for 3 miles along the beach. There he was, professional as ever, giving a mighty performance. I won't talk about his acting. I mean, I knew him when he had hair. But when I had hair, that's something.
Thank you, Ronnie Fraser. 2 years after Hornchurch, you make your West End debut, and films follow soon after. One of them, a favourite of yours, made a memorable impact, as in this scene, when your girlfriend discovers that you're living on credit. Or as the film's title summed it up, live now, pay later. don't dive under your seat, Ian, but she's here now. Of course, your co-star on that film, actress June Ritchie. Well, June, no one can say you didn't throw everything into that scene.
That's absolutely true, and I must say, if you've never thrown a vacuum cleaner through a plate glass window, you haven't lived.
Sure.
And, I did it 3 times, and all I can say is that it's so therapeutic. It got rid of all my inhibitions and neuroses, and I was as placid as a milk cow after that. I really was.
For the rest of the day, you mean?
Yes, I still keep a stack of plates at home. But all I can say is that if Ian had been in the line of fire at any of the numerous missiles I aimed at him, well, I mean, he'd have ended up as badly as the damaged goods, and that would have been the end of a very illustrious career, just as it was starting.
Thank you, June Ritchie. Thank you. A year later, in 1963, you marry actress Janet Monroe, your late wife, and there you are, Ian, holding daughter Sally in your arms while on the set of that much-acclaimed film of life in a wartime punishment camp in the Middle East, The Hill. In it, you play the sadistic Sergeant Williams who forces the men to run up and down that hill in full pack in blistering heat.
For that film, Ian, we didn't have auditions, we had medicals.
A great pal from that film, actor Ian Bannon, and with him from the same picture, Neil McCarthy.
Good start,
Ian Bannon for that film. Yes, but you were on location in the heat of southern Spain, but Ian here had it a bit cushy.
Oh, yes, he had a marvellous party. He did nothing but bark orders and had all the rest of us marching up and down the hill.
You were barking orders too.
Yeah, but don't you remember that we were all waiting for that moment in the script when Ian, as a sergeant major, had to run up and down the hill himself just to show to everybody else how easy it was.
Yes, we thought he'd collapse, but he was still breathing.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ian Bannon, Neil McCarthy.
I think so, anyway.
Well, another filming assignment 10 years ago takes you to Puerto Rico, but your schedule means you have a one-night stay over in New York, and the first telephone call you make is to someone with whom you'd exchanged sad farewells soon after you'd celebrated your 21st birthday. You had a brief reunion dinner before you went your separate ways again.
Throughout all our school and teenage years, Ian and I were as close as brothers.
Well, 10 years on, there's going to be another reunion because we flew him here just a few hours ago. Your great boyhood pal, Ian Ferguson. I can tell you he took a bit of finding, Ian, and indeed in the process caused an upheaval in your busy business schedule.
That's right, Eamonn. As a matter of fact, I was just about to get on a plane to Houston, and in fact, I was almost on the plane. And, you know, as far as I was concerned, I just had to be here, Eamonn. There just wasn't any other way.
He used to speak English.
Thank you, Ian Ferguson. Well, more films follow and a remarkable run of well over 500 television appearances ranging from award-winning drama to comedy sketches and even including science fiction in the series Don Quick.
And that's when Ian taught me to speak with my eyes.
She went on to star in her own series about a stargazing sleuth, the Zodiac, of course, Anouska Hempel.
You've got eyes like that, you should use them.
Exactly.
That's what you said.
The language of the eyes, yes?
Yeah. Well, it was my first acting part. I was terribly nervous because I hadn't done anything before on the box or anywhere else, really. And I didn't have anything to say because I was playing a part that I was a girl in a tribe that had lost their voices and they couldn't speak. And he was fantastic. He took me off stage. He said, listen, all you got to do is open your eyes up, get this organised, that organised. He said, and just stare. Keep them very still and very straight, and you'll be all right. And he was quite fantastic. And as time went on, I think about a year passed, and I did one of the episodes of The Lotus Eaters. And again, one of my first experiences ever was my first screen kiss. And
Down
Ian
on the
said
rocks,
to me,
wasn't it?
Yeah, wasn't it? And Ian said to me, look, it's all right, everything's fine. And then as I went to kiss him, I remembered what he said. It's all in the eyes.
Thank you, Anouska Hempel. Well, in that series, The Lotus Eaters was, I know, one of your favourites, as it was of your great friends and co-stars Wanda Ventham and Maurice Dedham. Maurice, you and Ian are great pals when you were, you know,
Yes,
making
yes.
movies together and so on. But on the golf course, I believe that he changed his character.
Well, yes, he becomes a bit devilish, but it's not only on the golf course, as a matter of fact. If I produce some of the apparatus of golf, I think he might demonstrate it. 2 golf tees. What does that mean to you?
The 2 golf tees?
Yes. That's it, that's rather.
That's the 2 golf tees.
And what did you sing?
I don't remember.
Fangs for the memory.
Now, Wanda, do you remember a time when his training from Coco the Clown came in very handy?
Yes, I do. On our first trip to Crete, we were delayed. In fact, we set off. We were sent back again because we couldn't land in Crete because of local thunderstorms. And so we were at the airport for about 3 hours, and Ian entertained us totally for 3 hours. It was a one-man show, and that's when his training as his clowning came in, because he did the most marvellous joke, which I think any friend of Ian's will have heard, is the one-legged golfer. I don't know whether I can persuade you to show you a little of it now. Ian?
What?
Just a bit of it.
Well, yes, all right.
The punchline.
The trouble is, this needs a big build-up, but you get some idea of what it's about. It's a friend of mine who has one leg, and we play around the golf together. It's my impression of him on the first tee. It's got something like that.
Thank you, Wanda, Maurice, and Ian. In fact, Ian, your early fascination with clowning has never left you, and you seized the chance 2 years ago to take part in a sketch with one of Britain's most gifted clowning talents.
I'm singing in the rain. I'm singing. Yes, I'm singing in the rain. Oh,
I have reason to believe that you have been drinking, sir.
What? What? How did you come to that? I mean, wait. Well, how could you tell?
Oh, we have our little ways, sir. We have our little ways. Do you know there was a gentleman very similar to you only last night, sir? He was lying flat on his face on someone's lawn with his arms stretched right out like that, grabbing at the grass, shouting, "Fetch a ladder quick."
Did you bring him one?
Oh. No, we just let him hang there all night, sir.
Without hanging on a moment longer, he's here in person, just like that great laughter maker, Tommy Cooper. Tommy, what do you think of Ian as a comedy actor?
I think he's marvellous. As a matter of fact, I've just come from Birmingham. What a walk. No, I really think he's great. And I've seen Ian in films, and we worked together once, didn't we?
Yep.
And a lot of people say to me many, many times, if someone gets, do I get jealous? Is that what you mean?
Well, if someone like him, if he got a lot of laughs there, do you get annoyed when someone like him gets the laughs?
Why should I get annoyed? I mean, there's no point, is there?
I'll tell you what I do then. Keep your eye on the box. Watch the box all the time. They said I should do one little trick. Watch the box. Just watch the box. I'll say the magic word. To Shaholma Dahidwa. To Holma Suwa. I don't know what it means. That's what to the sardines was. Anyway, you're surprised. Look, there's nothing in there. But a great surprise for you, because tonight you should be sleeping in the slightly of bed. Is your wonderful daughter?
Yes, the one bit of magic to finish her evening.
Emma.
Your 2-year-old daughter, Emma.
Hello. Hello.
Well done. Enid Hendry, this is your life.